One of the things I get asked a lot, I got asked this by my coaches when we started, or when we were getting ready to start this training plan. I get asked by a bunch of people that I've talked to on a regular basis, especially triathletes, what are your goals for this race? Now, goals are something you should definitely have. You should definitely be outlining and have something to focus on. So today I want to talk about what my goals for Ironman St. George really are. I have two sets of goals. One set was for my coaches. One set is for me, because I'm a little bit more competitive than most people want to think, and I like to tell, I tell myself I am very competitive. So I have a different set of goals for myself, but one set for my coaches, one set for me. It's a little bit more internal. So today I'm going to talk about my goals for all three legs of the race, plus transitions, nutrition, all that other good stuff. But first, it's 5:30 in the morning and I got to go for a run. So let me get out there, let me finish getting my shoes on, and I got to knock out this 45-minute zone 2 run, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so we did 46 minutes, 56 seconds run, average pace of 10:36 per mile, right exactly where I needed it to be. So I'm not even mad about that. I did forget the heart monitor this morning, but I'm in a bit of a rush. As you can see, it's foggy as hell. Stayed off the main roads, which was the goal of today. So now I'm gonna get my morning started, and when I get back, I want to talk to you about my goals. I definitely want to talk a little bit more about what my goals are, how I set them, and why I set them. So let me get moving, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so let's talk about goals. So one of the things I'm getting a lot of messages on lately, because again, people know me. If you've followed my channel, followed my running series, you know I like to set goals for myself. And sometimes those goals are a little bit more over-exaggerated and kind of like reaching for like the extra planets and not just the moon or whatever. But my coaches, when I even sat down with them, asked me the same thing. They said, so what are your expectations and goals for this training plan? And because I kind of figured they would ask that question, I had an answer prepared a couple days in advance. And I really thought about this one. For my coaches, my goal is improvement. Now, a lot of that's unmeasurable. How do you measure improvement in a training plan? Well, it's really not unmeasurable for me, because if I'm looking at improvement, I want to know things not necessarily time focused, but I want to know things like, was my swim more efficient? Did I feel better coming out of the water? Did I feel better in the water? Were my transitions quicker where I didn't feel like dying? Was my biking able to be sustain a specific pace, speed? Was I able to climb the hills and not feel like I was going to die? Was I able to eat? Was my nutrition plan good? Did I complete my nutrition plan? Did I get on the run and feeling really good? Was I energized? Did I still have energy left in me for the run? Was I running consistent? How long was I able to consistently run at a pace? And when I crossed that finish line, did I feel like death warmed over? Or did I feel like I could go a little bit more because I had enough energy, enough training left, or enough done in the past? Those are my improvement goals. And see, the reason I chose improvement over specific numbers for my coaches is because Florida and St. George are two different worlds of races. Florida is very flat. St. George is very hilly. Florida was in November. St. George is going to be in May. So you have a lot of different variations. The starting elevation, the climbing in St. George, on not only the bike but the run, and the ocean swim in Florida, the flatness of Florida, the headwinds in Florida. So there's too many variables to compare these two races head to head. So for my coaches, I chose something that I could measure based on how I feel, but not necessarily where they have like, okay, well, if I don't hit a 12-hour race, this wasn't successful. So I'm not putting that on them, but you know me, right? You kind of know what I do. You know I have to set specific goals for myself. So yeah, so if you know me, of course you know I set goals. I have to set goals. But these goals were a little bit more thought out. So first I want to show you and kind of explain how I got to these goals in my head. And then I'll talk a little bit more about what they are specifically. So to get to these goals, I went back and I looked at every single 70.3 or better race that I've had. And I looked at each aspect of it to see, okay, which ones are the most comparable to these. And when I broke it down, I was able to identify a couple different events that were closely resembling St. George. And I said, all right, cool. Here's what I did at those events. Here's what I want to do based on what my bests are. Okay, so let me eat. I got a leg workout to do in a little bit. I'm going to knock out legs. And once I'm done with legs, I'll break down each of my goals specifically. And again, how I came to that specific goal and what it's going to mean if I hit or don't hit those individual numbers. All right, so workout's done. Let's talk about some goals real quick. Now, like I said before, every single goal that I set for St. George is a personal goal. I'm not holding my coaches to these goals, but I like to have something that I'm aiming for, okay? Come race day, you know, I have a target in mind, and my target might not be their target. They may not set time goals for me come race week. They may set time goals, I don't know. But in my head, something that I kind of go over and over again is, like I said, I set goals based on my experiences, similar races, and so on and so forth. So here are my goals for St. George. So for the swim, it's a lake swim. My best swim in these similar situations was in Miami, in 70.3 in Miami in 2015. I would have, if that was a full, I would have, and I kept that pace, I would have swam a 1:14 for the 2.4 miles, okay? So in that sense, with that in mind, I'm shooting for a 110 here at St. George, okay? Gives me about a 155 per 100 or per 100 meters. So a minute 55 per 100 meters. So that's well within my range, because like right now I'm averaging, if you just looked at my times, not necessarily the overall, but where I am with my drills, I'm averaging about 156 per 100, okay? Now, again, I haven't done a straight distance swim, so I don't know where I'm at for long distances, but I don't think I'm that far off from a 155, 150 time frame. Okay, transitions, like I said, I want them down to about 5 minutes apiece. That'll take 10 minutes off my previous time, so 20 minutes total. So if I were to do a 110 and take 10 minutes off, that puts me like 28 minutes ahead of, or 20 minutes, 30 minutes ahead of schedule, ahead of, you know, Florida, which is awesome. Now for the bike, I'm keeping this one a little bit more realistic. Lots of climbing, lots of hills. It's gonna be hot. I don't really know how to handle all the heat. In Knoxville, I averaged about 18 miles an hour and 18 point something in about 4,000 feet of elevation gain. And this one's right now has about 5,000. They're supposedly making the course harder. So I'm expecting somewhere closer to like 5,500 to 6,000 feet of elevation gain. But if you look at the course map, and I'll put the course map like right here, and at least the elevation chart, most of the climbing is in one section of the hill. Now it's a steep climb, but it's only about an 8-mile climb where you're going up a good amount in all at one shot. Everything else is kind of like little graduals that add up to a lot of elevation. So based on the current course, I'm shooting for about a 6-hour bike. Okay, that's about an 18.4 mile an hour, which I think is doable, especially if I get high enough on the front end. The back end, I get a lot of downhill after the big steep climb. So I think I could pull that one off as of right now. I'm feeling pretty good, and there's still a long time to train. Okay, transition to, like we said, down to 5 minutes from 15. Now, if I take my bike down to a 6 hour, it's only like a 25-minute gain in time from Florida, but still a great time considering the course. Now, the marathon's a tricky one because the only thing I have really close to that would be Nashville, which just ran a few months ago. That one had a lot of hills, but I don't think it's going to be nearly what I'm going to experience in St. George. I ran a 5.5 hour marathon, so I'm looking for a 5 hour marathon in St. George, okay? Still, compared to Florida, would be almost an 80-minute improvement in time, which I'm not mad about. So all in all, if you take the 110 swim, the 5-minute T1, 6 hour T2, or 6 hour bike, 5-minute T2, and a 5 hour marathon, that puts me around a 12:10. Let me tell you, if I got a 12:10 at the World Championship course, I would not be mad at all. I'd be pretty friggin' ecstatic if you ask me. So that's what I'm shooting for right now. Obviously, as we get closer and I get more progress checks and status and FTP checks, and I get more input from my coaches, we'll see where we go from there. But as of right now, that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I may get faster. I may say, yo, we need to slow this shit down because it's a little bit unrealistic for me. I do know that after this morning's run, my coach commented on a thing, asked me if I was ready for a test or a race, which means he wants to see how fast I am coming up in the near future. So that might help gauge where I'm at progress-wise. Who knows? I don't know what the training plan is. I only get it week to week. But yeah, so as far as my goals go, a 12:10, I'd be happy with. But I mean, anything finishing. So you have 16:30 to 12:10. Like that would be ideal for me. I don't expect to go faster than 12:10 at all, or 12:20 at all. So I'm not mad. I'm excited. There's still, like I said, there's still a long way to go. With that, I am gonna go get cleaned up, eat dinner, relax for the night. I got a couple shows to watch from earlier this week. Still a lot of training to do. Still a lot of things that happen between now and then, but a lot of good things to look forward to. So with that, I'm gonna end this episode. I know this one was rather short. There was one read not so long ago that was rather long, so this one I'm gonna keep it pretty short. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're coming back for more because we got a lot more things to cover over the next 20-something weeks or whatever, however long we have. So I'll see you in the next episode, guys.